For most people today, keeping meat fresh is as simple as putting it in the fridge or freezer. But for the Amish, many of whom live without electricity, preserving meat requires skill, planning, and time-tested techniques. This is more than just old-fashioned cooking. It's a way of life that ensures their families have food through harsh winters without relying on modern appliances. The Amish approach meat preservation with a mindset of self-sufficiency. They raise their own livestock, pigs, cows, chickens, and sometimes even turkeys, and they know that every animal processed must be stored properly, or the effort will go to waste. Without refrigeration, spoiled meat can become dangerous fast. So, the Amish rely on traditional methods that have been perfected over generations to keep meat safe, edible, and flavorful for months or even years. The first step in Amish meat preservation is timing. Slaughtering usually takes place in the cold months of late fall and early winter, when natural temperatures help slow spoilage. Cooler weather acts like a natural refrigerator, giving the family more time to process the meat safely. On butchering day, entire families, sometimes even neighbors, work together to cut, clean, and prepare the meat for various preservation methods before it has any chance to turn. From there, the Amish employ a variety of techniques depending on the type of meat and how long they want it to last. Some of the most common methods include curing and salting, packing meat with salt to draw out moisture and prevent bacteria growth; smoking, hanging meat in smokehouses for flavor and preservation; canning, storing cooked meat in sealed jars that can last for years without refrigeration; drying, turning meat into jerky or dried strips for long-term shelf storage. These methods are labor-intensive but highly effective, allowing Amish families to maintain a steady supply of protein even in the middle of winter, far from the nearest supermarket. The ability to preserve meat without a refrigerator isn't just practical. It's a symbol of independence. It shows that, with knowledge and preparation, a family can thrive without modern conveniences. In the next parts, we will explore the Amish way of preserving meat in depth and how you can follow them and preserve the meat for decades. Salting and dry curing, the Amish first line of defense. When it comes to preserving meat without modern refrigeration, salt is the Amish family's best friend. Salting and dry curing are among the oldest and most reliable techniques for long-term storage, and they work by using nature's simplest ingredient to fight spoilage. Salt preserves meat by drawing out moisture, the very element that bacteria and mold need to survive. Once the water leaves the meat, the environment becomes hostile to decay, buying families months of safe storage. For the Amish, this process is a tradition passed down for generations, and it often begins just hours after an animal is butchered. The process starts with selecting the right cuts. Large cuts like hams, shoulders, and slabs of bacon are ideal for curing, while smaller pieces might be set aside for smoking, canning, or immediate cooking. The meat is then generously rubbed or packed with coarse salt, often mixed with sugar and sometimes black pepper or natural spices for added flavor. In some communities, a bit of saltpeter, potassium nitrate, is used to help maintain a pink color and enhance preservation. Once packed, the meat is placed in wooden boxes, stone crocks, or barrels in a cool, dry cellar or shed. Over days or weeks, the salt penetrates deep into the meat, pulling out liquid and creating a natural brine. This slow process transforms fresh meat into salted or cured meat, capable of lasting for months if stored in the right conditions. Some families repeat the process by repacking the meat with fresh salt after the first round of curing, ensuring no moisture remains. Once fully cured, the meat can either be hung to dry further in a well-ventilated area or moved to a smokehouse for the next stage of preservation. The taste of dry cured meat is distinctly rich and savory, with a flavor that connects the family to generations before them. And while the process may seem slow compared to throwing a steak in the freezer, the Amish see it as part of life's rhythm, a practice of patience, skill, and self-reliance. Salting is more than just a technique. In Amish culture, it's the foundation of meat preservation, smoking meat, flavor and preservation in the smokehouse. After salting or curing their meat, many Amish families take the next crucial step in preservation: smoking. Smoking meat doesn't just create rich, savory flavors. It also provides an additional layer of protection against spoilage. For generations, the smokehouse has been an essential building on an Amish homestead, standing quietly behind the barn or near the family's butchering area, ready to transform fresh cuts into long-lasting staples. The process begins once the meat has been thoroughly salted or cured to draw out moisture. Wet or damp meat can spoil quickly in a smokehouse, so patience is key. Once ready, hams, bacon, and sausage links are hung from wooden beams or laid on racks inside a small, tightly sealed building, often constructed of wood or brick to trap heat and smoke. The Amish rely on hardwoods like hickory, apple, or maple for their fires, avoiding softwoods that produce harsh smoke or resinous flavors. These slow-burning wood fires generate cool or warm smoke, which circulates gently around the meat for days or even weeks, depending on the cut and the desired flavor. Smoking serves two critical purposes: preservation. Smoke acts as a natural antimicrobial, slowing bacterial growth, while the heat and circulating air continue to remove moisture. Over time, the meat absorbs the rich, earthy aroma of the wood, turning simple pork or beef into bacon, ham, or smoked sausage with deep, distinctive flavor. Some Amish use cold smoking, where temperatures remain low enough to avoid cooking the meat, allowing it to remain firm and dry for long-term storage. Others combine warm smoking to partially cook the meat, making it immediately edible while still extending its shelf life. After smoking, the meat can be stored in a cool, dry cellar for months without refrigeration. Properly smoked hams and slabs of bacon often hang in pantries or barns until needed, sometimes lasting through the entire winter season. The smokehouse is more than a tool. It is a symbol of self-reliance. For an Amish family, walking into a smokehouse filled with hanging meats is like stepping into a vault of security and survival, proof that their hard work will feed the family long after the butchering day is done. Canning meat, shelf-stable protein for an entire year. While salting and smoking are excellent for long-term storage, the Amish also rely on canning to preserve meat in a way that is ready to eat and shelf-stable for a year or more. This method is especially popular for chicken, beef, pork, and sausage, giving families a supply of cooked protein even in the middle of winter with no freezer in sight. The process begins with freshly butchered meat, which is carefully cut into manageable chunks or strips. Fat and gristle are often trimmed to improve storage quality. The meat is then lightly cooked or browned in some cases, though certain recipes allow raw meat to be packed directly into jars. Amish families use mason jars and pressure canning methods to ensure safety. Because meat is low in acid, it must be processed at high pressure and heat to kill dangerous bacteria like botulism. The Amish typically use propane or wood-fired stoves to heat the pressure canner to the required temperature, maintaining it carefully for hours. Once the jars are sealed and cooled, the meat is completely shelf-stable and can last for 12 to 18 months in a cool, dark pantry. Canned meat offers multiple advantages. Immediate use. Unlike smoked or salted meat that requires soaking or cooking, canned meat can be opened and eaten or added to meals immediately. Safe storage, airtight jars protect against insects, rodents, and environmental changes. Canned beef, chicken, or sausage can quickly become soups, stews, gravies, or casseroles, saving hours of cooking time during busy farm days. Some popular Amish canned meat recipes include pork sausage in its own fat, chicken in broth, and canned beef stew ready to heat and serve. For many Amish homemakers, seeing shelves lined with jars of meat is a source of pride and security, knowing that no storm or power outage can touch their food supply. Canning represents a blend of old and new methods, using the timeless principle of sealing food away from air, combined with pressure and heat to ensure safety. It's one of the reasons Amish families can live so comfortably off the grid, with fully stocked pantries that rival any modern freezer. Drying, jerky, and storing meat, old-world survival methods. Beyond salting, smoking, and canning, the Amish also rely on drying and fat-sealing techniques to keep meat edible for months. These are some of the oldest preservation methods in the world, and in Amish communities, they are still used as backup systems for long-term survival. Drying is one of the simplest yet most effective methods. After butchering, thin strips of beef, venison, or even pork are marinated in salt, vinegar, and spices to discourage bacterial growth. These strips are then hung in well-ventilated barns, attics, or near wood stoves, where warm, dry air slowly removes moisture. Some Amish families also create sun-dried or smoked jerky using mesh racks or lines in a smokehouse. Once fully dried, jerky becomes lightweight, nutrient-dense, and extremely shelf-stable. Properly dried meat can last several months, and if kept in sealed containers or wrapped in cloth with added herbs to deter pests, it may survive even longer. Another ancient Amish technique is preserving meat in rendered fat, often pork lard or beef tallow. Small cooked cuts of pork or sausage are packed into crocks or jars and then completely submerged under a thick layer of melted fat. When cooled, the fat hardens into an airtight seal that prevents bacteria and oxygen from spoiling the meat. This method, similar to the French confit, allows meat to last weeks or even months if stored in a cool cellar or pantry. Whenever the family needs a meal, they simply break through the fat, remove what's needed, and then reseal the remainder under fresh melted fat. These old-world preservation methods are labor-intensive and require vigilance, but they offer unmatched independence. By combining drying, jerky production, and fat sealing with other preservation techniques like smoking and canning, Amish families ensure that nothing from a slaughtered animal goes to waste and that the family remains food secure, even during long winters or unexpected hardships. To the Amish, each hanging strip of jerky or jar of meat in fat is not just food, it's peace of mind, proof that they can survive without any reliance on modern conveniences. Year-round meat security, combining methods for complete self-sufficiency. For the Amish, meat preservation isn't just about one technique, it's about strategy and timing. Living without refrigeration means their approach to storing meat must adapt with the seasons, combining multiple preservation methods to ensure the family has protein all year long. This layered system is what allows them to thrive without ever opening a freezer door. The Amish rarely butcher animals in the heat of summer because warm weather accelerates spoilage. Most slaughtering happens in late fall and early winter, when cold air naturally slows bacterial growth. This seasonal rhythm gives them a head start on preservation without relying on technology. Fresh meat is eaten immediately during butchering days. Large cuts like hams and bacon are salted, cured, and moved to smokehouses for long-term storage. Smaller cuts and poultry are pressure canned into jars for shelf-stable meals. Extra scraps may be dried into jerky or preserved in rendered fat for emergency use. By spreading the harvest across these methods, Amish families create a layered safety net. Even if one batch spoils or pests get into a smokehouse, canned or dried meat remains available. Once preserved, the meat is stored in root cellars, pantries, and barns, carefully designed to stay cool and dry. Smokehouses hang heavy cuts high above the ground, pantries line shelves with rows of canned chicken and pork, and jerky hangs in breathable bags or sealed tins. Every cut is tracked and rotated so older meat is used first, preventing waste. Diversity of methods means no single point of failure. Seasonal awareness replaces modern refrigeration with nature's cycles. Hands-on knowledge ensures every family member understands how to process and store meat safely. For the Amish, this isn't just about tradition, it's about freedom from dependency. Their meat preservation system means that even if the power grid fails or supply chains collapse, they can feed their families for months, sometimes years, without outside help. What looks like an old-fashioned way of life to outsiders is, in truth, a highly organized survival strategy. Every smoked ham, canned jar, and strip of jerky represents security earned by hard work, and proof that modern convenience is not the same as true self-reliance.